Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Being Wise, where I discuss transformative ideas gathered from books, the internet, or from anywhere else on this planet. Have you heard of the deliberate practice? Earlier this year, I stepped into a gym for the very first time to work out. I wanted to improve my physique and get fitter. On that day, there was a trainer there, and he taught me a beginner's simple routine. And so after that, whenever I went to the gym after work, I would do that simple routine. I would go to the gym, plug in my earphones and listen to my favorite podcast back then and even now, Business Was, and then do my simple routine. The routine was comfortable and it made me refreshed and healthy. A couple of weeks later, one fine morning, I went to the gym and as usual I began my simple routine. But that day there was a new trainer. He watched me for some time and later he came to me and asked for how long have I been coming to the gym and doing my workout. I said I was just a beginner. So he asked me to follow him and we went to an open part of the gym and we did a few warm-up stretches. And after that, he literally took me to task. He introduced me to new routines, and on every one of those routines, he would come stand by me as I do it. He would ensure that I stretched and did more than what I was capable of. During all that time, he would hum motivation. If I was normally able to do a single set of 10 push-ups, he ensured that that day I did 2 sets of push-ups, 10 each, with a little break in between. And this happened for every single routine. Now in just 30 minutes, my body was drained of every single ounce of energy. I was sweating profusely. I won't forget that day. It was really hard, but intuitively I knew that if I kept up with the trainer and did this for a few months, my physique would improve drastically. This was deliberate practice. It was hard. My old routine was fun and comfortable, but this wasn't. But this was more effective. If I needed to build my physique in a few months, then I had to do deliberate practice. We spend a lot of time on a task. We think we are practicing and we are disappointed when we don't see the outcome, when our skill level does not improve or our performance does not improve. Now that's the difference between lazy practice and deliberate practice. Now, this is a visual representation of the difference in outcomes of lazy practice to deliberate practice. In lazy practice, of course, initially there is a curve, our skill improves. Of course, when I go to the gym and work out for the first few days, to a certain extent, my physique is going to improve, but only to a certain level, and after that it plateaus. More amount of lazy practice, the more amount of time put into the task does not reflect an improvement in the skill level or the performance level. But in deliberate practice, we see there is a constant improvement that is linear to the time you put into the task. So that's the effect of deliberate practice. I'm sure we all want to be in the second case where we're doing deliberate practice and our skill level and performance level is improving with every hour of time we put into the task. Now that we know that deliberate practice is very effective, what are the strategies to do deliberate practice? There are some principles that underlie deliberate practice. Of course, there are many strategies, but there are some principles that are common to deliberate practice. Now, as I explain these principles or strategies, I will also contrast it with characteristics of lazy practice so that we know the difference. So the first principle of deliberate practice is that you must have feedback and you must measure specific goals. Now take the example of public speaking. If you want to improve your public speaking and your oral presentation, then you must first record yourself. So that's the feedback. You record yourself and review it, and probably you can count your R's and M's and you might have a threshold for it. So that will be your measurable goal. And the measurable goal should be something that stretches you. If it's already within your grasp, then you're not going to stretch yourself. So that is the feedback. You must have a feedback and also have a measurable goal. that you measure with the feedback. So contrast this with lazy practice. In lazy practice, it will just be simple repetition. You will not measure anything, you will not know the feedback. You are not stretching yourself, you are just in your comfort zone. Think about my gym example, my initial routine. So it's comfortable, you're just repeating yourself, but there is no feedback and you're not measuring yourself, and hence there is no improvement. The second principle of deliberate practice is you must have focused and deliberate attention when you're doing the task. If you've ever been to a music class or practiced music, take the example of a piano. Now if you're practicing keyboard or a piano, then you know that you can also do it very mindlessly. You can do the practice very physically without applying your mind. You could work on an autopilot mode, but that will not help you. When you're completely focused on your practice, your mind is completely focused on what your hands are doing. It is those practice that is really effective, and that is what a lot of piano teachers and music teachers would recommend. So you should not practice in an autopilot mode. You have to have deliberate attention. So here the concept of system 1 thinking and system 2 thinking is very useful to understand this. If you've heard about the concept, then system 1 thinking is the intuitive autopilot mode of the working of our mind, and the system 2 is the more deliberate working of our mind. Now in lazy practice we would just end up using system 1 thinking. In deliberate practice we would use system 2 thinking, where we are more deliberate and focused on what we are doing, and hence there is a lot of mental energy invested in the task. Our level of performance improves with every hour of effort we put into the task. The third principle or the strategy of deliberate practice is to have a coach or a mentor. Probably this is one of the most effective aspects of deliberate practice, because when you have a coach or a mentor, they provide an objective frame of reference by which you can measure your feedback, and secondly, they have accountability. Because when you're going to do deliberate practice, it's going to be really hard. If you recollect my gym example, it is really hard when you do deliberate practice, and you need someone like a coach or a mentor to take you through that hardship, so that you do not leave that goal and you pursue it with the help of the coach or a mentor. So that is why a coach or a mentor is really helpful in deliberate practice. If you think about world-class athletes or sportsmen, despite being world-class and being world number 1 or being in top 10, they still have coaches. Now the reason is this, because you still have to improve, and having a coach is really useful when you want to do deliberate practice. So another reason to have a coach or a mentor is that when you're just practicing, you might end up practicing your mistakes too. This is much more applicable in music or even in your gym, where you might be doing your weights wrong, or even in sport where you might be doing your strokes wrong. So you might keep practicing the wrong stuff, you might keep practicing your mistakes, which means you will become good at your mistakes, which is not what we want. So having a coach or a mentor giving live feedback or monitoring us can enable us to eliminate those mistakes, and thereby not affecting our practice negatively. So those are the 3 strategies of deliberate practice. The first is having feedback and measurable goals. The second is focused and deliberate attention, and third one is having a coach or a mentor. So what are you trying to get better at? Are you following deliberate practice? What are the strategies you're using? Please do share with us in the comment section below. This idea of deliberate practice was introduced to us by Dr. Anders Ericsson. He's a psychologist and a professor of psychology in Florida State University. His focus of research is on human performance. So he also has a book called Peak. I've not read the book, but probably you could check that out. Another book called Talent is Overrated by Jeffrey Colvin also talks on the similar subject. Again, I have not checked out the book. You could give it a try. A lot of blog posts and podcasts talk about the importance of deliberate practice, and there are interviews with Anders Ericsson. I'll link up some of the major resources in the description box below. There are lots of examples of athletes and musicians doing deliberate practice. So do check it out. Please do like and subscribe if you did gain something from this video. I post videos every week on personal growth and insights from books and films. Goodbye, thanks for watching. Now, if some of you are wondering if I did keep up with the trainer and go to my gym and do that hard deliberate practice in the gym, unfortunately I did not. I missed a week in between after the first day because I had some work and I was just plain lazy and really terrified to go back to the gym after that day. And after that we had the pandemic, so my gym was shut down and it is still shut down. That was a good excuse to stay away from the gym.